There's a verse in Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Let's try that verse. Say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. There's also a song I want to have you sing. A great tune. We'll teach it to y'all. I can do all things. I can do all things. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You know it now. Well, I can do all things. 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 But Christ who strengthens me. Ain't it just like a wounded man? Fall down on his knees, cry, Lord, Lord, please help. Look what the world's done to me. He should know that a child of God is power in his reach. Stand up tall with the words of Paul. He began to teach. I can do all things. I can do all things. And it's just like a weary son, he's tired of all the pain, feeling more like giving up. Let me go back and try again. Sometimes life seems so cold, the world could be so rough, but it carry away my friend. Come on, let's take it on. I can do all things. 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 I can do all things to strengthen me. One more time, sing hard. I can do all things. 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 Christ who strengthens me. Do you believe that? There's a young girl that's 26 years old, beautiful girl that lives in Santa Monica, Victoria, and my daughter. And she was riding her bike she's training for the Ironman, for the marathon, where they do this 26-mile run, and they bike 136 miles, and they swim two miles, all in one thing, you know. And she was riding her bike down Pacific Coast Highway in Santa Monica, and going about 35 miles an hour, you know, doing the bike really hard. And this homeless guy gets up and thought that he would try to take her bike from her while she's going 35 miles an hour. And so he grabbed the front end of the bike, and she went right over and right into the concrete. And didn't know where she was. They life flighted her to UCLA Medical Center. And I'm between Bakersfield and Sacramento on Interstate 5 in the middle of nowhere. And we get a call from the paramedic on the helicopter, seeing what happened. And of course, you know, my wife, Victoria, she's all flustered. What do we do? And I go, we catch a flight. And I called United, and I found out there was a flight going to LA, and I broke the law. Sorry, all you guys out there, you can arrest me later, but it was, for our daughter, it was worth it. She made the flight, got into LA. See, Marcia has that verse, Philippians 4:13, on her. It's on her wrist. She wears that. She can do all things. So we thank God she's alive. She got to the hospital, and they said, you've got a broken hip, and you have a broken shoulder, and you don't know who you are, so your name is Trauma Eileen, they called her. A lot of prayers went up for her. 5 hours later, the doctor walks in. He says, there's no broken bones on you at all. You can leave in 40 minutes. Marcia's watching right now by the internet, along with thousands, hundreds of thousands of others. So you sing it now. I can do all things. Marcia, all things. I can do all. I can do all things. I can do all things. I can do all things. I can do all things to strengthen me. No music now. Just you singing now. Everybody quiet, sing. I can do all things. I can do all things. I can do all things. Christ strengthens me. Let's give her a good hand. She can hear you. God bless you all. You may be seated. My wife and I have been working with the Eskimo community, well, for the last 11 years. We go to 12 different villages, and this church has been a big support of us going. I have 4 new CDs in the hallway, and we have them there as a donation to help us go every year. I go in the wintertime. I try to help these kids who are, their parents are alcoholics and drug addicts, most of them. And a lot of these kids are just miserable. And I can't help everybody, you know. But there are people that God brings your way that we're responsible for. But we come home in the same problem. They may have money, they may have a nice house, they may have running water where they don't have running water in these villages. But kids suffer the same. Just the other day, came to the world in the usual way. There were planes to catch, bills to pay. He learned to walk while I was away. He was talking for I knew it magic word. I'm gonna be like you, Dad. He said, thanks for the ball, Dad, come out, let's play. Would you teach me to throw? I said, not today, I got a lot to do. He said, that's okay. He walked away with a smile, never grin. I'm gonna be like him. You know I'm gonna be like him. Just the other day, so much like a man, I just had to say, son, I'm proud of you, can you sit for a while? He shook his head and he said with a smile, what I really want, Dad, is to borrow the car keys. See you later, can I have them please? Oh, the when you come home, son, I don't know where we'll get together again. Since retired and my son's moved away, called him up just the other day. Son, I'd like to see you if you don't mind. He said, I'd love to, Dad, if I could find the time. See, my new job's a hassle and the kids with the flu. Sure nice talking to you. Sure nice talking to you. As I hung up the phone, it occurred to me, my boy, just like me. My son, just like me. Here. And, you know, I've had the opportunity of speaking here several times on eschatology, and it's really been fun. And tonight I'm going to be teaching on failed men in the Bible that God used. And I love what Mr. Graham has said many times. When I die and I stand before the Lord, I can't claim justice, but I claim the blood of Jesus Christ. Pastor Dave has been teaching in Galatians, and it's amazing that the religions in the world that we look at, starting from Babylon, that people believe that they can actually work their way to God, and it's a religion of human achievement. And yet, human achievement is what every cult and every religion out there has believed. Right. Paul had to come right up to Peter and face to face and rebuke him and say, look, it's by grace that you're saved. And it's not by human achievement, it's by divine accomplishment. He paid it on the cross already. And you see, history is past. History doesn't go on now. History is all from the beginning. In the beginning, God created, boom, the heavens, boom, and the earth, shoo, and everything that's there in the earth. I mean, it's just happened quick. It's just fascinating. And we have to go on little fossils and think, well, it's still I'm going to touch on that in my message. But Jesus Christ will return. And so when you think in the sky, David does these Skywalker things. He's a slamming guitar player, I'll tell you. But he will come back and people are going to wonder who he is. He's an unidentified flying object. You will see him in the air. He's an unidentified flying object. You will drop your hands and stare. You will be afraid to tell your neighbors. They might think that it's not true. But when they open up the morning paper, you know you've seen it too. He will come back like he promised, with a price already paid. And he'll gather all his followers, take them all away. He's an unidentified flying object. He will sweep down from the sky. He's an unidentified flying object. Some will sleep but will not die. He's an unidentified flying object. Coming back to take you home. He's an unidentified flying object. price already paid. Then he'll gather all those followers, take them all away. He said, "When I take them back flying out there, you'll swing down from the sky." He said, "When I take them back flying out there, but will not." He said, "When I take them back flying out there, coming back to take you home." He said, "When I take them back flying out there." Your soul. If there be life on other planets, I'm sure that he must know. Maybe been there once already, died to save their souls. About 2 months ago, a young doctor that my wife and I met while we were in Liberia about 1.5 years ago. This man, he and his wife ran a medical facility there. And Kent Brantley is his name. Incredible man. Well, Kent is a very organized person. He would put on his spacesuit that he would have to isolate himself from these patients with Ebola. Ebola can live in your system, even if you're well, can live in your system for months. It's known that it's lived in sperm for over 6 weeks. It's in saliva, and it's a very dangerous disease. And when we found out that Kent Brantley and Nancy Whitebull there working in this missionary hospital in Monrovia, Liberia, got this disease, Franklin Graham was devastated. Oh my goodness, this is like a tragedy. 90% of the people that get Ebola die. It's a disease that'll come in your bloodstream, it'll attack your immune systems, and it'll attack your kidneys, it'll attack your liver, and you start to bleed inside. You bleed out of your eyes and your ear, and pretty soon you just start bleeding, and very soon you may have 5-6 days when it really hits that you could live. And we were just devastated. There was a doctor in Sierra Leone. Africa has 52 countries. Sierra Leone is in West Africa as well. It's a little north of Liberia. And this one doctor was pretty much head of all the medical doctors in Sierra Leone. He had this disease, Ebola. And there's a company in San Diego, California, where I live, that believe that they have a serum for this disease. It's never really been tested, but with mice. What this serum is mice blood poured on of tobacco leaves. And when the tobacco leaves start aging, something happens. Antibodies come about, and they form this serum. And a last-ditch effort was this serum was sent. Of course, it's frozen, and it takes about 6 hours to unfreeze. You don't just put it in a microwave, you could ruin it. And so this serum was taken to Sierra Leone. And the head of the whole medical society there in that country, the lawyers of this doctor who had Ebola said, "You can't just use us for a guinea pig. You can't just throw this on us. No, we refuse to take it. Well, we believe that this it's never been tested." No. So the serum was taken to Liberia. And at that time, I got a call saying that Kent Brantley, he's in grave condition. My wife Victoria and I were on television. We were talking about this. They were asking information that we had about Liberia. And Kent Brantley said he was taking 40 breaths a minute. You usually take 12 breaths a minute. But he's just breathing like that. He said, "Give it to Nancy White Bull. I'm going to die." And they came up to him and they said, "We have some for Nancy too." In his chest, you could see the redness of just bleeding inside his body. They gave him this serum. He was just on his deathbed, ready to die. He went through convulsions for about 30 minutes. About 40 minutes, the redness started leaving. In about an hour and 10 minutes, he lifts his hand and he does this. And Franklin Graham gets a call and he says, "Franklin, Kenny Isaac, we think he's getting better." "What?" "Yes, we do. We think he's getting better." And so Franklin, there was only one plane that can fly a person with this type of disease. It can be isolated from the pilots and anybody else. The government had this plane, and Samaritan's Purse got this airplane, flew it to Monrovia, Liberia, to fly him to Emory Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. What had taken place is that the pilots have to rest. They had flown all night. They needed 8 hours rest. By the time they put Kent Brantley on that plane and he landed, the camera showed the ambulance pulling up. And when they opened the back door, Kent Brantley walked out of the ambulance and walked into the hospital. This Saturday, I'll be at the Billy Graham Training Center, and we'll see Kent Brantley there. He's going to be speaking. But who knows, this serum, and of course, Nancy White Bull, she's out of the hospital, and she's well. But who would think Mice Blood, a song that I didn't have a great band like this. When I was in Liberia, there was about 60,000 people. Behind me was about 5,000 in a choir. I sang this song. And the choir sang what the ladies here are going to sing. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. When I hear that trumpet sound, I'll rise right out of the ground. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. Well, look down on the river. What do you think I see? I see a band of angels coming after me. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. No, no, no. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. Well, look down to Gabriel. Keep your feet on the land and see. Gabriel, don't you blow that trumpet till you hear from me. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. No, no, no. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. Mama, you'll know I'll be there when I check in my. Can't wait, Mama. Oh, yeah.
Gonna hold my body down. Gonna hold my body down. Gonna hold my body down. Gonna hold my body
Okay, we all gotta stand on this one. This song is if you like cars that go fast, if you like the 50s, you like the early 60s. After that, they made really junk cars with little plastic things and weasel cars. You know, electronic ignition where the government can find you anywhere. We're gonna do things like this. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, go! Well, every time I ask your son where you been, rumor has it you've been in the pit again. When they're gonna learn to read the Bible and go back. Let me tell you, sister, everything will be okay. One day at a time.
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 Forever, surely gonna last.
Surely gonna lose my mind.
Every time you got the world's in a mess, everywhere I look at people in distress, fussing and fighting and they grappling about what to do. Well, let me tell you, sister, something that'll work for you. One day at a time.
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 Surely gonna lose my mind. David!
Surely gonna lose my mind. Jesus gonna take us if we choose to go. Gonna take us out of life of guilt and shame. Till it comes again, everything will stay the same. One day at a time. One day at a time.
One day at a time.
One day at a time.
If I swear off forever, surely